Så da introduserer jeg oss på norsk. Velkommen alle sammen. Vi håper virkelig dere får stor nytte av denne timen, sammen med våre samarbeidspartnere. Og ikke minst også få nytte av innspill som kommer fra deltagere. And then I'll turn into English as we have English-speaking attendees, both in the panel and as attendees. So welcome to all of you, and welcome to our business partners, Rune from Scaled Agile, Sudi from Radus, and Peter from Capgemini. So the program will focus on how to scale an agile mindset to deliver value to users and customers from the very beginning. And that is very key, from the very beginning. Not to forget the people, the talents, all the specialists and the generalists. They and we all will thrive and prosper as we go. That is also a key. You will first listen to Rune from Scaled Agile, who has chosen Force Agile as their first partner in Norway. And we are delighted to work with the SAFE framework and beyond. Then you will listen to Sudi, who will show you the key building blocks, transparency and synchronization, and what can be achieved. We are very happy to announce our partnership with Radus Software, who has experience and skills in all the house. Then Peter from Capgemini will present how they work and achievements they have using the Agile approach. Force Agile has started on a journey to form a partnership and to strengthen leadership culture and sustainable continuous improvement. So when you want to reach out during this webinar, please use the chat board, and we will address. Yari will be on the chat board and serving, so don't hesitate to come with contacts. Come in with questions or comments. And to you, Rune, I would like to thank you for joining us as a new partner of Force Agile, and we are very proud to present you. And as we say in English, I guess, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You know, actually, this is my, I don't know, second or third time talking on the behalf of SAFE and Scaled Agile in Norway. The last time I started out in Danish in the spirit of our Scandinavian common culture. That did not turn out too well, so I switched to English. I thought I would start with English this time sober. Allow me just to share my presentation that I've prepared for all of you. First, the most boring slide, sorry, but that's just about myself. So my name is Rune. I'm working from the Scaled Agile headquarters in Scandinavia, which is my basement in Denmark. So not very luxurious, but I'm here nonetheless in these COVID times. I'm a SAFE SPCT and what we call strategic advisor, advisoring enterprises and partners alike. I primarily focus on the EMEA region, but I do get to work in the US and APAC as well. So I'm here a little bit to talk about SAFE through examples, or rather today I chose to take a little bit alternative path because I wanted to, in a very short time that I have available here, explain what is SAFE very shortly, and maybe also a little bit about what SAFE really isn't. There's a lot of word and comments going around on social media, perception about SAFE, people who haven't been using SAFE, maybe people who've been using SAFE in the traditional way. So hopefully here I can demystify some of the things. It does require that you know a little bit about SAFe, but just a tiny bit. So I thought it would be, in order to show the big picture. You know, this is when you go into the agileFramework.com, this is what you need. So is this safe? Well, it is and it isn't. It is because SAFe encompasses and can handle very large lean agile transformations, all the way from portfolio management, how you do that in a lean agile way, how you scale thousands and thousands of product developers, researchers, and so on, into what we call solution trains, and then into agile release trains, and into, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of teams. Of course, you need to have your lean agile leadership at the foundation. So if you're a very, very big product development shop with thousands of people, then eventually you may need to and want to use all parts of the framework, which is what you see here. This is what we call full SAFe. But is this something you commit to when you start your SAFe transformation? And the answer is typically no, it isn't. Typically you start someplace else when you're working with SAFe. So if this is not the SAFe you start out with, what is? So let me try to condense it a little bit. So what you see here is what we call essential SAFe. This is typically where organizations start out. So what do we actually have here? So essential SAFe is really talking about what's the essential part of SAFe? What must you really have in place? So as you can see here, we have naturally our teams. Our agile teams working together, delivering some kind of increment of value to our customers. That's, I mean, if you don't have agile teams, if you don't have teams working, well, you don't have anything to scale in the first place. So we kind of need that to have that in place. Or at least we need to have some people that we can form into teams. The challenge usually comes when multiple teams need to collaborate working on the same solution. And this is really where we add the other part of the essential SAFe, typically called either the program part, I like to call it the art part, or the agile release train part, which is really our virtual construct up here, where you actually put together all of your teams in a virtual construct, working on a common development value stream, delivering some kind of value, typically through a solution to the end customers. So some teams working together. My first agile release train had 6 teams in it. I think we were about 80 or 90 people, had 2 product managers, had 1 release train engineer, 1 system architect, and 1 junior architect supporting that person and those teams. That's where we started off. That was a larger financial institute. Later on, we scaled up. We added more agile release train. We had more trains coming up. We had more teams collaborating and so on. So we grew it. But essentially, this is where we started, in a much simpler construct that we could later utilize and scale up in if needs be. So that's also SAFe. SAFe could also be this. Maybe you heard about the 7 core competencies of SAFe, and that's really what you see here. That's what we believe from Scaled Agile is required if you want to attain what we call business agility, the ability for our business to make decisions, to change directions fast. We have identified these 7 core competencies all the way from one of the key parts here, lean agile leadership, the foundation of everything that you really need in order to start off and to move on afterwards, and all the way from team and technical agility, talking about agile product delivery, how do we deliver our products on a cadence, how do you scale to really large solutions if you're building your satellites or your airplane systems or large banking systems, tax systems, so on. Again, we're talking about more than a single release train working together. And then naturally, we also have portfolio management, organizational agility, and even continuous learning culture to know how can we actually get better, having learning as a central part of our organization. So that's actually also a part of SAFe. At the last piece I have here, what SAFe is also about, I know there's a lot of on this rather busy slide, but SAFe is a lean agile scaling framework. So naturally, we will have parts of lean. We have our house of lean focusing on the lean principles and practices in here. We have the Agile Manifesto that most of you probably know as part of our foundation. We have our 10 SAFe scaling principles that's going to help us when we scale up. And we have the SAFe core values in here, the one that we really need to have in place in our organization to actually get the value that we hope to when we start with a SAFe transformation, that being alignment in what we do, especially important when we're synchronizing between teams, transparency in the work, making sure we build in quality as we go and not at the very end, so that all of these three things enable our ability to actually execute on what we build. So I could say that all these four things is actually SAFe, all of it. So if this is all SAFe, then what is SAFe not? And I must admit, I was stealing a part of one of my colleagues' presentation, our SAFe fellow and member of the framework team who actually creates the framework articles and everything, Steve Maynor, made this very nice presentation on 7 things to stop or not do when you're working with SAFe. So I think when we were talking about the start of transformations, beginning up with this, I picked 2 of them that I thought would be especially interesting to this audience here, talking about what SAFe is really not and what you should stop doing, or actually not start doing when you do your SAFe transformation. And that is treating SAFe as a prescriptive methodology. Because SAFe is not a methodology. SAFe is a framework. A method is really a step-by-step, very prescriptive way of doing things. There's typically only one way to do it. And if you lead out part of these steps, things typically go wrong. So SAFe is a framework, which, as you can see here, is a loose but incomplete structure that leaves room for other practices and tools to be included, but still provide much of the processes required. Because we do come with processes, we do come with help and guidelines and different ways to use it. But as a framework, you can pick and choose what suits in your situation, as long as it at least follows those principles, that mindset that lies behind the framework, and not just reading SAFe by the book. And unfortunately, we see situations where people who are using the framework is quoting parts of the framework, say, well, SAFe says you need to do this, SAFe says you need to do that. Well, it's not really an effective way to do it, and it's typically something we see with rather inexperienced people who haven't worked with the framework, maybe just read the articles, wanting to do it this way, maybe being a bit insecure in the way of doing it. There may not have been enough training. And these root causes actually will inhibit you to get value from SAFe. You need to understand it. You need to get some help from people who actually practice this once you get started. So to apply these, what we call these success patterns, treat it as a framework, not a methodology, and then get help. Get help from people who are actually tried to implement this before. Get help for some of our partners to upskill your SBC, the SAFe program consultants, who's going to drive the transformation moving forward. That's really one of the big things I want you to take away from here. So again, not a methodology, it's a framework. Get some experienced people to help you. It will make your time to market go much faster, and you'll get much more of the value quicker if you do it that way. The other one I picked, one of my favorites as well, is implementing SAFe in name only. And you can see the sheep and the wolf here. So I know Steve Maynor, my colleague, usually call this the waterfall in agile clothing. So there's a lot of organizations out there who want to implement agile. They want to be agile, and they don't really want to go through the challenges and the changes of actually implementing all of the core practices mindset into the organization. They want to be agile and get that brand, but they don't want to change the practices. They still want to have phase gates. They still want to keep specific metrics in place that is actually inhibiting the move towards lean and agile within the organization. So Some of the symptoms and signs we see of this is that there's governance, there's practices and policies in place. We have to do it this way. This is the way we've always been doing it. We have to do it a bit differently. Our company is different. And whereas, of course, many companies are different and your ways of working are different, typically the principles behind the way you need to change and work are the same. So the root causes, what we typically see is that you want to have all of the benefits of a lean agile, but the whole change part, the whole moving towards the new way of working, the changing of the mindset, taking that longer view on it is typically lacking. And some of the things we want to address here is that if you want to get past this, you need to make sure that besides all the practitioners you have in your organization, leaders who are really guiding the people, who are guiding the system, helping challenge the system and the cultures, needs to be trained as well. They need to understand what it means to work in such a transformation, both from a principle and practice perspective, but also from a value and mindset perspective. So we need everybody to get along on this journey. And part of it is training. Part of it is reading all of those great articles we have on the framework. So when you see the framework picture, that's just a picture. It's just a graphical representation. You can click pretty much anything on the framework and get to an article that will tell you more about this. Also about lean agile leadership. So boil down very fast on this short presentation of SAFe. This is really what SAFe is. It's a framework. It's for lean enterprises as a knowledge base of what we call proven integrated principles, practices, and competencies to achieve business agility by implementing lean agile and DevOps at scale. And with that, if there are any immediate questions, I know we'll save some for the Q&A session at the end. I'll take them now. Otherwise, we can move on to the next presenter.
Thank you, Rune. That was a quick run, and we have got questions that we want to address, and these questions is such that we think they're necessary to explore a bit, and so we take those in the Q&A session, and you will stay until we have finalized the Q&A session. So very good, and thank you very much for sharing this. And then I would like to introduce you, Sudi, and I say that Sudi, I know you as an expert in applying and amending the SAFe framework to American customers, as well as an expert in how to utilize tools to achieve value equal to results. So, Sudi, please enter the stage, and you would have some 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
Thank you, Knut, and good afternoon, everybody. I really appreciate you all taking time this afternoon and spending a Wednesday afternoon with us. My name is Sudi, and like Knut said, I'm a partner at Radus Software here at the United States. I have been a hands-on developer for over 3 decades. I've been practicing, teaching, and coaching SAFe since 2013. I've been part of large SAFe transformations. I've been part of transformations as large as 600 people on one particular transformation. And I've also been part of small transformations, which are 20 to 30 people strong. We all heard from Rune about how SAFe is and how excited it is that SAFe is coming to Norway. I can only agree. SAFe is a great framework as long as you treat it as a framework. And working with the SAFe implementation, I also noticed that SAFe and scaling agile is not just about making your teams more. Sorry, am I sharing my screen at all, or let me share my screen? Apologize. So it's not just about increasing the productivity of your teams, but it is about delivering what your business needs, delivering really quality products for your business. And I will be talking not just about SAFe. I want to make sure that for SAFe implementations, you are having, or you're using a tool set that really does not hinder the flow of your SAFe implementation. So I'm going to present to you Metronome, which is our platform for making sure that SAFe implementations go smoothly. As with any tool set, you don't want the tool set to be taking over your whole implementation. It should be supporting and enhancing your experience with a great framework like SAFe. So what is Metronome? Metronome is an enterprise class platform that will, like the framework, help you scale up and down your SAFe implementations. You can make it as big as you want, or you can just stick to the team level and Metronome will still support you. It is a centralized platform that's also going to increase collaboration between your teams. It's going to make sure that there's synchronization and cadence between your teams. Everything that SAFe is built for, we make sure that we support that in our platform. So going back, it's an enterprise-ready platform that scales to any organization, increases collaboration from teams. It is built ground up, support SAFe. I mean, the whole idea of the platform was, I was in a large program where I was using a tool set and I would spend hours and hours and hours just fixing the tool set to work with the framework, right? So, and that's not what we want. We want it to be in the background, just supporting everything that you do. So that is when we really decided, hey, there's an opportunity for us to build something else. And that's what we mean when we say it was built from the ground up to support SAFe. And it increases output through a coordinated approach. Now let's jump to the big picture that Rune talked about. The big picture was something that was very exciting for me when I first looked at SAFe in 2013. I said, hey, I can just click on any part of the picture and it gives me information. It makes the learning of the framework so easy because I can just jump to any part of the framework and I know exactly what it means. And I wanted Metronome to be similar in touch and feel, and which is why we call this the big picture of Metronome. So what we do here is really from this screen, you should get a comprehensive experience of all your teams, where they're at, what is their progress. And really from this screen, we also want you to be able to click and with just one click, get to whichever part of the system that you want and look at the progress or look at what is happening in that part of the system. So if you can, like you can see here, in this particular picture, you see two different programs that are under a portfolio, but in a smaller implementation, we would just see one of these, or we would just see a team. It really does not need to be this big implementation. So really, that is the whole goal behind this, the way we set up this dashboard. It's going to support your implementation and your version of the implementation. The second piece I would like to show you about is the collaboration aspect of it. If you experience a SAFe implementation, the whole part of collaboration between the teams is something very unique. It's an experience that gets all of us energized. We all are in this room planning, trying to deliver, or making sure there's cadence between all the teams, making sure that we're on the same path to delivery in the next 3 months. And this is one of the screens where you would basically work through the delivery pieces. If you look at the screen, there's all the teams on the left-hand side. There's all the different time boxes on the top. And these are all the tasks that they're working on. These could be small tasks, big tasks, different kinds of items that we work on. And if you see the red line, the tool really supports collaboration by saying, hey, this particular task is dependent on this other task. So we show clearly the dependency. This is what we call the program board. And the program board is a very big concept in SAFe. And it gives you a clear picture of what the teams are doing, what is the dependency between them, how do we solve issues when there's. So I'm going to skip on to the next part of the program board. In the previous part of the program board, you saw that there was dependency. Now I'm going to show you how, if there's an issue, this same board will show you how the dependencies are going to affect other teams. So if you pay close attention, this particular box has a little icon and it has a halo around it. What that means is when you were doing your SAFe implementation, somebody said, hey, something's happened. I'm not able to deliver on a particular item. Okay, then this is what we call blockers. And when somebody is not able to deliver on a particular item, you know that the other teams that are depending on this are going to be affected. So if you look at the little blue halo on all the other boxes that are here, you can see that every other team which had a dependency on this, we are showing that all those particular items which are going to be developed are going to be blocked as well. So this gives us the opportunity to go back, identify what is causing the problem, making sure that we're collaborating as teams, and making sure that we can fix the problem before it affects everybody. So these are some of the ways in which our tool, Metronome, supports SAFe. At the same time, we're not taking away anything from the framework. We're basically saying, hey, we will implement the framework the way you want it. So that is the whole idea behind this. So what is Metronome? Again, it is a configurable software that will support all levels of SAFe. It provides out-of-the-box support for all the SAFe ceremonies, which is things like your meetings, any meetings that any collaboration that happens between your teams. Everything is supported within the tool. And it also supports, more importantly, all the metrics. I mean, implementation is as successful as the measures that you're implementing to make sure there's progress and success. So it supports all the metrics that have been identified by SAFe. And I'm going to walk us through some of these metrics as we go through the next few minutes. This particular screen, I identified, put it on here is because I was on a large program with the government. And the large program, there were the executives. The executives are a big part of any SAFe implementation. We want the business to be involved. We want them to be active. But the executives are executives. They are really busy. They don't want to get into nuts and bolts of implementation. They want to add support to implementation by trying to fix any small issues. So they want a view which basically lets them know, hey, where am I in my program? When am I going to get these 4 or 5 different things that I'm expecting? So they want answers to their questions, and if they have to be involved in a solution, they can drill down and get to the solution piece. So this particular screen was designed with that in mind, for the executives to really get exactly what they want. As you can see, there's a lot of information on the screen. If you start from the bottom, The time boxes really are telling what are my objectives over the next few months, or the next 6 months, or the next 9 months, whatever we do. And as we know from our SAFe implementations, these are not always solid. These are flexible. These are agile. So the only thing that is fixed is this particular thing. And that is, as you can see from the little checkbox here, it says, these objectives are fixed. These objectives are still building. We're trying to figure out what is it that we want to do over the next 6 months. And from an executive perspective, let's go a step further. Before I get into the executives, I want to talk about the architects. I'll give you an example of what happened at one of the SAFe implementations. Like Rune said, some SAFe implementations, they want to call it SAFe, but they're more what we call here as agile fall, because they're still using waterfall techniques. They're calling themselves agile and SAFe because they think this is a nice, shiny new thing that's going to fix all their problems. And what happened in this particular place when they called me was they had planned all the items that they were going to deliver, but they really had not created the architecture that's needed to deliver that, which is a very big part. Architecture needs to happen a little bit ahead with the leading edge, and the architects really are supposed to tell you, hey, the platform is ready for you to implement your solution. And that's why we have something called an architectural runway, where the architects can come and tell, hey, these things are ready for you to start building upon. And in the tool, we make sure that we capture those architectural runway pieces. You can click on any of these red dots, and it will tell you what are the architectural pieces that have been created for us for this particular time box. Going one step further, we have releases. And this is where the executives can say, I'm clicking on this box, it will give me a list of features that I'm going to get at any given time. So really the executives can know exactly what they're going to get when. And finally, it also has the milestones. So say we have a big, I've worked with a lot of government programs where there are things that you need to do to be, to govern your program. You basically have to submit a particular form at a particular time that says, here's all the compliance things that I'm taking care of. So that could become a milestone. So there's a lot of milestones that you can track. And as you can see, they're all tracked along with the timeline to give you a good view of what is happening in the program.
Sudi, 30 seconds more.
Sure. And finally, I'm going to get into the metrics. So the next few slides are really metrics that we are going to go through. And as you will see, SAFe has, if you go to the SAFe side, there's a lot of metrics, a very comprehensive set of metrics that track, 1, how well the team is doing, 2, how is the flow across the team, and 3 is the feedback from the business as to whether these metrics have been, whether the program has been effective or not. And as you can see here, this captures what is the progress that is being made. This particular graph captures the flow across the system. And this particular graph captures the feedback from the business. It says, hey, the business, it basically is taking business input and telling you whether a particular program has been successful or not. So this is true measure of the business feedback. And we have measures like that at different levels. So in a nutshell, what is Metronome? Metronome is basically a comprehensive system that provides strategic alignment. It's scalable and flexible to your framework needs. It lets you easily collaborate across teams. It's customizable. There's plenty of reporting, and it also manages risks and resources. So with that, I finish up my presentation. If you have any questions for me, whether it's on SAFe, or on Metronome, I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Sudi. And as we have seen, the focus should really be on producing outcome and not how the tool works. Obviously, we need to know how things works, but the focus is really on the outcome. Thank you again, Sudi, for sharing with us. And I would like to introduce Peter. And Peter is an experienced professional with a leading role within Capgemini. And Peter, I know you will share main learnings with us. So please, as I said, the stage is yours for 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then let's see if I can also truly share my screen. So please tell me if I'm sharing and if it's visible.
Yes.
Looks good.
Good. I'll also go into presentation mode if that is okay with everybody. So thank you, Knut, and thank you, Knut and Force Agile, for inviting us to this webinar seminar, and it's exciting to be here. I will take the opportunity with this 8 minutes I have to slightly present Capgemini, because maybe not all in the audience has met us in business or in other areas, but also, of course, then go into our way of looking into the Agile and some of the experiences and the comebacks we have within these 8 minutes. My name is Peter Öqvist. I work within the smart energy service sector within Capgemini. I am both a team leader, a product owner, and I'm actually using the Agile transformation to secure that my own products within the smart energy sector is evolving in the way that we do. And as you can see in the background, electric vehicles or charge points is one of the key areas right now that we are looking into and discussing also on the Norwegian market on how to evolve and secure that we can catch the value streams and develop the right values for that market. And I think Norway has come further in that, but in Sweden, we're just starting to understand how that will work. So with that started, just a few words on Capgemini. I think most of you hopefully have met us. We are quite a large multicultural company of 270 people, 1,000 people. And of those, actually, around 4,000 are in Norway and Sweden. We are in 50 different countries, and we are working to be able to secure digital transformation and technology together with the people we have for the digital tomorrow. And I think that is using the Agile frameworks and the way of working in an Agile way. So that is a lot of our key into how we do work with our customers today. And with that aim, we do have a brand promise to you. It is that we want to work with you to get the future you want and to utilize the human energy and the technologies that we have to our disposals to be able to do that. And it's not an easy task at all aspects, because where we are and where we want to be might be challenging, might be difficult to find. But I believe that we together can find those, and that also that the Agile way of working can in many ways secure that we do reach that with the right value and the right customer focus. So with that, those two things, which is slightly more Capgemini, then the question is, we believe strongly that your Agile future is now. But I think, as Rune said, there's nothing that comes to you. You need to decide it. You need to catch it. You need to want to size it. And it is a transition. It's a transition, not. I did say to Rune sometimes earlier. This is the SAFe and so forth is a tool or a framework, and it is that. I mean, you need to build that into, in a sense, a change in your company to be able to utilize them. And of course, SAFe can then be much, much more than a tool and a framework. So that is the mistake to do if you want to do it. But if you really want to seize the agile future in each of your companies. I believe that we have the right way. And what we've done is, together with our own experience and competence historically, with our partners, and as you can see, we have been with the Scaled Agile partner as a gold partner for quite some time right now. And it's one of the key cornerstones in our own Agile playbook. And we're now also working with Sudi and Jari to add to that partnerships and the competencies to evolve the Agile playbook so that we can have the perfect fit to be able to establish the Agile initiatives for you and secure that we have the capabilities and the same capabilities to be able to do it in different ways. So we're taking all of our partners' experiences together with our own and securing the transition and assist our customers in the assistance in the transformation, and secure that actually that transition improves the value delivery. Because in the end, I think we all agree that it is not the path, it is actually the value we can bring in the end, and the continuous value, the continuous change in how we bring that value. So what we are doing, and especially in the Nordic, in globally, but also in the Nordics, is that we are integrating all our services with the Agile playbook and the framework to be able to do organization transformation. And we're doing that together with a number of large Nordic and global companies, some of the largest in the Nordics, definitely. We're also developing not only my product, but also other product developments, very much also in the public sector, to secure that we have the right product development working the same Agile way. And also in all other areas, including business intelligence and so forth. So for you, and if you decide that Agile is the approach, then I think all of your changes, all of your technology choices can be evolved and utilized between the Agile using tools, frameworks like SAFe, etc., etc. And I promised Knut and Rune to give some kind of examples of what we have done. And I have one, because I would like to show someone where Scaled Agile, and that actually this way of working with SAFe can be something that can be done for both small companies, but especially for large ones. And the slide is busy, and this project was as busy as the slide. But it's very interesting to see that a company like Airbus, with over 50,000 employees, decided to use SAFe as the model to do a SAP implementation. And not with just one supplier, but with multiple suppliers. And the context was more or less that they were moving into a new SAP. They had a multiple number of suppliers, as we said, and as they had a good experience and previously, they decided the SAFe model was the way to work. And they had 18 months to be able to secure a large SAP implementation. They started very rapidly to secure the training, the education. They did a SAFe implementation. They did the trial runs, and then they started to do the transition for the implementation, together with Capgemini, who was awarded the design and testing contract in that. And in less than 18 months, actually, we were able, together as a team, to make that implementation. And after, when everything was done, and it was a very successful project, everybody asked, okay, why did we succeed? What was it, the key to success? And honestly, it wasn't technology. It wasn't a framework. It was to everybody acknowledge that it is actually a transformation project. And a transformation project that needs to have the attention of everybody within the company, from the top to the bottom. It is a change of culture for everybody who's involved. It is not something you can put into the operation and say, now we're safe. Whoever says that has to be safe. And the manager who says that you should be safe should also be safe or agile. And the main effort it actually did was to make a cultural change, to cooperation, to procurement, control, to contracts. Because as you see, the alignment between business and IT was the key. You cannot have different value streams, different concepts of how to generate value between different parts of the company. The value and the way you create value to your end customers needs to be the same. And those key takeaways has shown to be true in all of those projects I've been involved in, either if it's within in the Nordics when it comes to these kind of agile transformations. If you are not all in the whole company, you will not, in my opinion, get the rewards you need. With that, I probably have mentioned and stated enough and used my time, but happy to talk to anyone or anyone later to discuss it further. And I'm on a mission to change the culture. So thank you. Knut, over to you.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for sharing with us. And I'd like to just stress the fact that what you said, your agile future is now. It's about it's never too late, but it is now. So why wait? And I think what you said, that the most important message from, I guess, all of us is for you as an individual to decide to embrace the agile mindset. And there is no secret recipe, but the framework, the SAFE framework, really assist and support and guide everyone within the company, and that is really the key message. Before Jon has something important that Jon will show you, and so I would like to give you the stage, Jon. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Knut. I just wanted to show you one single slide, and by doing that, I would like you to reflect a bit on some of the issues that we see when we are communicating and working with customers. And that is what is actually happening when you go from a traditional way of working into a business central agile way of working. And to simplify a bit, let's just focus on 4 different aspects: the culture and leadership. It's not very simple in itself. The strategy, the tactics, and the operations. And to the left with the red ones, it's red not because of it's wrong, but it's red as a contrast to what an agile type of organization will typically do. And there is nothing wrong with a top-down command and control way of working. There is nothing wrong with an annual static planning procedure. It's nothing wrong with long feedback cycles and waterfall-driven project management. There's nothing wrong. You can improve with that from your own place and from where you are. But it's very hard to adapt. It's hard to adapt to new changes, customer requirements, and it's also very hard to deliver value on a continuous basis. If that is the type of requirements that you need to apply to, then this one is not sufficient. So as Rune also mentioned, there is the first step often is to start on the operational level in the middle here, where you typically try to establish teams that work in an agile way using Scrum or Kanban or something like that, and you focus on delivery. But still you have the same culture, the same leadership, the same way of doing it, top-down approach, and also to the largest extent a waterfall-driven way to communicate with the operational level. So, and that is perfectly fine if that is the way that suits the organization and the customers, but it's still not fit to do strategic moves on a short notice and be agile as an organizational organism. So if that is your requirement, if that is what you need to go all the way to the right. And here you will see typically that the culture and leadership shift from a command and control into aligned autonomy, more purpose-driven way of doing things, and continuous learning, as opposed to project-driven things where you split up when you hand over the results from the project and you do not create the learning organization in the same way. And on the strategic level, you have the data-driven, iterative refinements. You have a top-down, but you also have a bottom-up way of creating ownership within your organization. And on the tactical level, you will typically see it's safe to fail, it's short cycles, it's minimal viable product way of doing things, building core needs into things, not everything at the same time, 3 years ahead in time and so on. You work in pull-based ways to deliver according to the demand, but also to deliver according to the capacity of the organization, and you have a value-driven way of thinking. Typically, you focus on quality of service instead of the output. And on the operational level, you have the lean agile best practices that you need to have in order to have the complete organization as an agile organization. So as you see, if you need to integrate everything into your business, you have to scale. And that's why we think that the SAFE framework is a very good one, because it is a framework that takes into account that you can grow and become an agile organization. And that's what we in lots of circumstances see, that the customers want to go that way, because they see that the customers are moving, things are changing much faster than before. So we need to have an agile way of adapting to things and deliver things on a more continuous basis. So I just wanted to give you this simple illustration to reflect a little bit of where you are and where do you want to go. Thank you, Knut.
And thank you, Jon. And it's interesting, Jon, you've been CEO on several companies and really used this approach and mindset and worked hard to achieve results. So it's therefore it's respectful to listen to you. We are about to start a Q&A session, and as you will, in that Q&A session, we will share some questions that we have got during the webinar, and I would like to then put these questions up to the panel for as short as possible answer. I assume no questions are like an yes or no question. So Jari, have you what questions have you got that you would like to address at this stage?
Well, we had a question about Metronome and how it's implemented. I think Sudi took care of that very well in the chat. And then we have a question: how do you advise to involve top management?
So who want to address that topic? Anyone? Rune, is that something you would like to?
Absolutely. So how would you like to involve top management? Well, sometimes some of the challenges actually, you don't need to go and ask them. It's actually where they come from. Many of the transformations we see kind of have two sides to it. Either you'll see that there's a drive to change due to well, the popular American term is the burning platform. You are in a tough spot. Your competition is moving faster than you. Market is changing. COVID is hitting you. You need to change direction. You need to do something. These things are typically quite aware at the top management level. It may be that you need to engage them and start to ask in on these kind of topics. How can we actually help facilitate you going faster, getting faster to market? getting out of this challenge you're in. So that would be one way to address it. And the other one that I've been so fortunate to be in a couple of times is actually when you see an organization, maybe they had a new CIO or COO coming in with the vision to change. They want to move into a different way of working. Maybe they experienced that from another company, and you actually just need to elevate and help them along getting their strategy into place. So I think it's relatively easy to engage them as long as you can help them see what benefits a lean agile transformation will actually to drive. You need to find out what are the right questions to ask in the situation. Is it trouble we need to get out of, or is it some inspirational leader coming in wanting to change things? That's typically how I start to address it.
Yes, may I add? I think if you have to be frank, if you need to ask how, you are already there in a dangerous path. If they don't see the value that and agree on the value that you're going to bring in an agile transformation project, there's a first warning flag that you need to handle before you move on. Otherwise, going to spend a lot of money on something that might go wrong. So I would actually do that. The first thing I do, bring it up, saying that this is a lot of money. We're going to do this. Is this the right way? Is this the value streams? As we saw in the Boeing, also in the bus example, to bring IT and business together and agree on what do we actually want to get out of this. And if you bring these two together, you need to have management to kind of agree with them that is it. So I think the self-perseverance should be a very good need from the management to actually be involved. And if you can't get that, give me a call.
And if I can add a sentence to that, I've been fortunate enough to be part of the large transformation project for the US, one of the US government agencies that we worked on. We had over 18 different vendors supporting the program, 600 people on the program. And this was one of those things where, like Rune said, the administrator of the whole agency wanted transformation. And she was willing to sit in our planning sessions. We have 2-day planning sessions. The fact that she sat in a 2-day planning session doesn't mean she didn't do her work. She was in the room just lending support. So in case we had some questions, say we ran into some issues with a potential impact on the program, she was there to make changes, make that suggestions. We didn't have to email back and forth to get the results. So this was the kind of commitment that we had, and we saw great results when you have commitment from management like that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I see that we've run out of time. Some of these questions that we have got, we would like to explore more and give you a proper feedback. So therefore, Jari, you will share a link now that you can go to, and you will register your interest in receiving this information, because sometimes actually the question is more clever than the answer, and good questions are very, very important to all of us and to share. And I would suggest for those of you who can stay another couple of minutes, please stay on. The time box we have for the webinar is over. It's 4 o'clock. And to those who have to leave, I'd like to thank you, all of you, for investing this time. I would like to look at it as an investment. And I hope you got some inspiration, some ideas, some contacts, something to really think about, and not forget starting with yourself. You want to say something?
Knut, if I may just add that if you take that link, we will also send you the recording of this webinar and the handouts from the presenters. So please do that if you want to have it as a backup.
Thank you, Jon. Exactly. So I see we have quite a number of participants, and should we take another question, Jari?
We'll change the subject a little bit. To what extent could we use existing metrics?
Yeah, that's a good question. Totally different. And who would like to start with that? Maybe, yeah, okay, yeah, there is no question.
Sorry, I was talking metrics all day today with another customer.
I never seen a bigger hand than that.
I can put it close up. So the answer is crystal clear and simple. It depends. Really annoying consultant answer. Sorry about that, because of course it depends on what metrics you're talking about. One thing I found for sure is metrics drives culture. So what you need to be, you get what you measure. So if you continue to measure your progress towards specific milestones in your waterfall model, yet are using SAFe, no, then I would probably not suggest that you do that. If you are measuring your revenue generation from the solutions you're selling, absolutely, I will continue to do that. So it's hard to answer that question without knowing the metrics. Just be very aware that metrics drive behavior and behavior drives culture. And we're actually trying to change the culture by the way of working. So be aware about that.
Thank you, Rune. I think we are about to end this webinar. So to everyone who wants to get in touch with us, you have got the form. And again, thank you to all participants, to the panel. Thank you for sharing with us. You are experienced people. Your time is always valuable. And have a great evening to everyone. And I hope you have got some food for thought. Thank you very much to all of you.